It's finally coming home. It's finally coming home. Lord Stanley's finally coming home. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Lord Stanley is finally coming home to South Florida where it belongs, okay? Vamos Gatos, that's what they're saying. The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup in an amazing final. We'll be talking about it. But tonight's episode, yes, we're going to get a little bit spicy. We're going to start to build and actually predict the real 53-man roster, not that Mickey Mouse roster or stencil roster that El Capitan was putting up on the show. Just kidding, El Cap. You know I love you. But still Mickey Mouse, but that's okay. This is going to be the real final countdown to the 53-man roster. Let's all make sure you hit like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell because this is Broken Takes.
New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan in 100% authentic gear. Fanatics, officially licensed everything.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Fins Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Fins Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're hitting the like button, turn on notification bells. This is Broken Takes. What is happening, everybody? Yes, thank you for coming out. This is the final countdown to the 53, the real 53. I got her shortly. Appreciate you being here. But shout out to everybody in the chat. The Panthers did it. Down 3 games. Actually, up 3 games. Then went down 3 games to pull it out. Amazing series. In my opinion, one of the best finals I've seen in a long time. Lord Stanley's Cup is back in South Florida. Actually, where it belongs. Not even back in South, where the original home, because this is the first time the Panthers have won it. It's amazing. It's a great time, great feeling. Make sure you hit the like button. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody in the chat? I see you here. Where did he go? He was here a minute ago and now he's gone. Okay. My friend will be right back, it looks like. Give me 1 second. See you soon. Everybody's finishing up on El Cap's show. So now you guys are here. So I appreciate everyone that is here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's see who we got. Ryan AP, how you doing, my friend? Chef Jew, the official TFTG ambassador. Check him out. Check out whenever you talk to Chef Jew, ask him about his cupcakes. Put it in order. You'll never regret it, I promise. Let's see. Adam Sadowski, what is up, buddy? John Federlin, how you doing? Daniel Berry Sports. OG Barry, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you're on the Twitter side of things, come over here to YouTube. Hit like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. Join the chat. Have fun with us. We're going to be talking a lot of different things. Today's show is only going to go for about an hour and a half. I'm on a time limit. My wife is holding me with a gun. She's saying hour and a half and that's it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So what is up? What do you guys want to talk about first? Let's talk about Tua. That's the big news right now, right? Supposedly the administration is lowballing and not actually going with the market value for Tua. Everybody keeps using this term market value or market is the market. Well, what the fuck is the market? If the price is just to be higher than the next guy and the next guy and next guy, is there really a market? That's my question. I'm being serious. Is there really a market? Now, I understand that as an organization, you have to be responsible, right? You have a number, you want to hold to that number as much as you possibly can. But are the Dolphins playing the risky game, or is it Tua that's playing the risky game? That is a big question, right? Do we even know what Tua in his camp are really asking for? Or I've heard they want similar to Jared Goff, right? Around 42 million average when it comes to guaranteed. Then I heard, no, it's not that. With the guaranteed money, he wants to be the highest. He wants more than Mahomes, right? And then I heard, no, he wants to set the bar at a new scale, like 55, 60 million guaranteed every year, right? I'm sorry, but Tua, as much as he's gotten better year after year, right? One, he's only really completed one season, right? Not being injured. One. Well, I don't want this to be, personally, as a fan, I don't want us to be in a situation like you do have over at the Giants, Daniel Jones, who signed $40 million a year, and he didn't look anything like a $40 million a year quarterback last year at all. I'll be surprised if he even makes it through this season, because I honestly think he's 1 foot out the door out of the NFL. Personally, my own opinion. Can Tua do it again? Yes, I think Tua can do it again. Do I have all the faith that he can definitely perform? Yes, I do. I actually do believe in Tua. Tua has convinced me over the past 2 seasons. However, it's still risky. You're paying all this money, and if you really want to pay him, make him the highest paid for whatever reason, right? And everything. And we're talking about when it comes to guaranteed money, if you want to make him the highest paid, is it really worth it in the end? You're risking everything just to make one guy the highest paid, right? My theory is they're really probably offering him Jared Goff money, and the other side is probably trying to push to get that extra money they can anywhere possible before they absolutely have to sign this deal. Because I'll tell you what, if you think Tua isn't playing a risky game, I think he is, but if you think he's not, then I don't know what to tell you. What's good? That's right. Thank you, Shake Money. Shake, come on over whenever you get a chance. I know you're probably over at El Cap's show. That's fine. Come on when you get a chance. Anyways, he is playing a risky game. You think about it. Let's say he's holding out for the top paid and he gets injured for whatever reason. I have a wooden desk, so I'm knocking on wood that doesn't happen. But let's say it does. Do you think teams are really going to want to pay him the top dollar when he just got injured again and he's out for whatever reason? Or God forbid it's a career-threatening injury, right? Obviously, he's not going to get the money then. So I think that there's a time period of how long both sides are going to push, shove, tug of war with each other until finally they both say, okay, enough of this. Let's just take the best deal we can put together here. right? We'll see what happens. Dolphins technically don't need to rush. They can still tag him twice, in fact, right? So there's that. What's up, Q? How you doing, man? Hit the like button. I'm glad to see you here. So they can still tag him. Don't forget, Tua's here for this year no matter what also. So for those people that are worried if we don't sign him, he's going to go run and be a Las Vegas Raider. No, it's not necessarily going to happen right away. They're probably going to tag him. They'll tag him for what the less of the asking price is. I think the tag I heard is $38 million. Yeah, I'd rather pay him 38 than paying him 55, 60 in some of these numbers I'm hearing. Let's go ahead and introduce my first co-host up here. What is up, Color? How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? I'm just letting you know the battalion is coming. Capitan is coming back. He's gonna fight, man. I'm letting you know.
He's
just
gonna
make sure he knows it's your show. You might have to remind him a couple times whose icon is in the top right-hand corner.
Okay. I will remind him of that.
But he's coming right at you, bro. The show's about to end about that idiot, you know who, and he's about to be done with it. So he's coming right over, man.
All right. Well, we're not going to talk about,
But look who it is.
Oh, what? You calling out the big dogs? You calling out the big dogs?
Let me introduce. This is L. Mickey Mouse, also known as the captain of the tugboat.
You can call me daddy anytime you want, Ali. It's cool.
I don't call you daddy. I'm sorry. You can call me Poppy whenever you want.
Poppy.
Anyways, I'm here to give you guys the real 53, not some fake stencil traced 53 that he probably got off of Finn's Nation or something. All right. I'm messing with you. El Cap.
That was the first shot of the night right there.
Honestly, that kind of fucking hit me in the bottom of my sack. I don't really like that.
El Cap, I'm just going to remind you, look to the right-hand corner of the screen. And whose logo is that? That's my logo. So it's
true.
Nice.
It's true.
Show isn't going to be a dragged-out show. I'm on a timer, hour and a half exactly. Okay, because I promised my wife. But this is a series of shows. So this is not my complete roster. This is the beginning, and I was just about to explain that to the audience, okay? We were just touching base about the whole Tua situation and all the news that came out within the last couple hours.
Okay, have you closed the door on that? Because I'm ready to talk a bit about that.
Let's go ahead and give me your perspective, and then this is what I want, so just to give you a heads up. We just started the show at 10:15, right? So for the next half hour, we can talk Tua, and then the last hour, I want to talk about my roster and where we're going to go, because this is going to be a series of shows. Okay.
Okay.
So
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So, okay. So look, this Tua Tagovailoa stuff right now, right? There's a lot to consider. Now, the last time I heard anything was, Dolphins are in talks. It's going well, blah, 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 blah. And people that I trust in the community that stay real low key about information for a multitude of reasons, we're making it seem like, yeah, things were doing all right. And then it was told to me that there was a deal. They got a deal put together, and the Dolphins feel good about the deal. They feel like it's a fair offer that they're going to offer. Immediately after that, the paradigm shifts. Then I hear there's a distance. Then the last bit of information I got after hearing there was a distance. Now this is all the way back in February, right? That I heard that this offer was given, and then the distance was seen, and then the counter offer I was kind of made privy to. And I told people around on here what the counter offer that Tua and his people are looking at. Now this was before Burrow, before Lawrence, before Goff contracts. You know what I'm saying? And it was $265 million with $215 million guaranteed, with probably a little more in guarantees. It was actually closer to 225, but there was like this window of wiggle room, right?
Okay.
Now I'm wondering now with the information I'm giving, because there's this whole new thing going on. Money guaranteed at signing, and then the guaranteed dollars is a different thing that they're doing now, right? ever since that point, it's been quiet, super quiet.
Oh crap, if you are not a welder or a baseball catcher, never wear a hat backwards unless you want to emulate Dan Mitchell. While I agree with you, Michael K., all Bills fans are catchers and we're just the pitcher.
Oh, fuck. Damn. Holy shit, Ali is on one color. You ain't fucking kidding.
Mic drop.
I told you, man.
He just fucking bodied the shit out of an entire city right there. You're
Damn.
all catchers and we're your pitcher.
Damn, Michael K.
Shit.
Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. It's gonna be
hit the like button.
I mean, Ali's getting to that point in life where he probably just don't give a shit much more, bro. So
bro. I mean, wow.
Holy
shit! I was not prepared for that, dude. Okay, I'm gonna tread lightly. I came in here ready to, go toe to toe with Ali. I don't know if I need this smoke right now. All right, hold up. Let me. Fuck! I done threw my whole train of thought off.
I need a beer to put these flames out.
All right.
Hold on. Let me land on it real quick. Because when from that point, right? It got real silent, and the only other stuff we started hearing about it is, Tua making it public that he was disgruntled. What was the word? Anxious. He put.
Yeah, antsy was the word.
Anxious, antsy, same shit.
Yeah, same shit.
And we started getting from the talking heads. Most importantly, Jeff Darlington. At around that time, saying that the Dolphins feel very good. Because let's call it for what it is. Jeff Darlington is real chummy with Dan Marino, with all the old head players out there who are all still plugged into the thing. And Jeff Darlington's point of view and information is coming from a Dolphins side of information. Right? That's just a fact. It's coming from that mouthpiece on that side. Not that he's getting and not doing his work on all sides, but most certainly co-signed by the Dolphins more often than not, right? That being said, as you know, recently he's walking back that. And when the Jared Goff contract came out, right? And I measured up the numbers I heard that he was asking for to the Jared Goff numbers that he got, Tua was going to make on average about $500,000 a year more in guarantees than Jared Goff. Well, when that came out, then that's when the separation between those things became very apparent, and people were talking $5 million. Talking about Tua wanting $48 million a year in guaranteed. Now, I would imagine the Dolphins are like, no fucking way on that. I think they were thinking more of 40 to 45 million, keeping it towards the $43 million mark, kind of what I was hearing. If they're at a stalemate, where's this go? Where's it go?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, bro, why should the Dolphins rush to give him this money? I mean, you think about it. We have him under contract this year for $25 million. Even if we tag him next season, right? It's going to be $38 million, right? Even if we tag him next season. We could tag him again or put the transition tag on him if we really wanted to. And if you're worried that we're going to move off and actually draft somebody, well, I can tell you in the next two drafts, there are some really goddamn good quarterbacks coming out. And I know you guys don't like to hear that because we don't like to have to draft somebody because it's like starting over. But I've been thinking about this.
Would CJ Stroud be a start over for any franchise? I don't think so. Is there another CJ Stroud out there? Probably.
That's why you got to do your homework. That's what I was saying. Scholars got to make their money.
I think Greer's looking at his homework like shit.
They get paid the big bucks to do it.
I can go after Sam Howard. I could go after all these guys. Even freaking Peyton Manning's nephew or whatever his name is gonna be available
in 2 years. He's definitely in the league.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. There are players that are going to become available to us in the draft. And let's say you transition him, right? Let's say you transition him and you get some sucker like the Raiders who's willing to give him the god-awful money that he wants and give us the 2 first-round picks. I'm taking it all day long because there's no way I'm going to pay this guy more than what even Mahomes is getting in guaranteed money. There's no
if they did
way.
franchise him at the end of this season, it would probably be right around $42 million with the new contracts that have come up and any contracts signed after this point. It's going to be 42, no more than $44 million for a 1-year franchise thing. Why would the Dolphins offer any more than they have to pay? And if they were to do it again, there's another. It increases and it also automatically goes up. I think 15% or 20% or something. So it would be say $50 million, right? Okay, and that's how these contracts are worked out. You're making 23 this year. You could make on a franchise tag next year 44. You can make on a franchise tag after that 50. So we're gonna bundle that. There's over $100 million. We're gonna add another year at the overall rate of say 43 million and a 5th year of an overall rate, and there's the number that we feel comfortable staying because 2 years down the line they're gonna be in a better cap situation because the money that they're paying you in guarantees isn't beyond what the money it would be to reset the market or franchise tag the quarterback through a 3rd and a 4th year, which I don't even know if they can go to a 4th year. But my point is that the business is done. It's obvious Tua in his camp feels like he's deserving of that and more. And the question, it begs the question: is this Tua giving payback for all the years the Dolphins are been looking at other quarterbacks, been wanting to fucking get the Deshaun Watsons, the Lamar Jacksons, the Tom Brady's? You know what I'm saying? Is this a little bit of payback on this?
I don't want to say it's the payback, but what I will say though, look at the side of Tua that we've had the last 2 seasons. Okay, it started when McDaniel got here. He's become the
weapons.
Hold on. He's become the Tua that is the good old straight up American boy, Christian minded person, right? To slowly becoming this diva style player. And if you think about it, look at it this way. When McDaniel got here on his birthday, look at this kid. He was out at some club wearing shades and stuff, dressing really fly. He's now has his own.
We got renegade Tua.
You saying Miami's getting to him? Hold on, South Florida getting to him?
Let me land the plane, and then you guys
got renegade Tua.
What I'm saying is that he's now doing more flashier things than what we've seen in the past. And I think Athletes First has gotten to him and said, hey, you want to be that guy to do all those things and stuff? We're going to make sure you're the highest paid, the highest loved, highest everything, right? Just follow our lead. And this is the Dolphins standing up to the tyranny of his agency, because this is the truth. This is the reality of it, right? Even if we gave him similar deal to what Trevor Lawrence is, I think Athletes First is actually they kind of fucked themselves over by letting Trevor Lawrence sign that deal. And the reason I say that is if you really look at that deal, right, and you look at the comparability of him and Tua, the stats aren't quite as off as what people make it out to be. Yes, I don't think Trevor Lawrence has had a good a turnout that what Tua has, right? But he still has a playoff win, right? And their interception difference isn't very much at all. So the stats are not as widespread as what people think they are. And when you're comparing both people, I personally think that they kind of screwed themselves. The Dolphins know it. The Dolphins know that they have the leverage in the sense that they're not in any rush. They got backup plans galore for the next 2 seasons. I'm not worried, bro. I'm telling you, stand pat and do your thing.
All right.
Because
can I make a quick take on it, Ali? I don't have much to say.
Hold on, real quick. The longer they wait, the more advantage the Dolphins are getting, and it's more riskier for Tua. And that's the reality of it. Go ahead, Colin.
So what's the playoff win prove? It
What is
proves
win
that Trevor
playoff?
Lawrence has the one thing that we're not sure still Tua has. Can he step up in the big moment? Right?
That's true. And that was one hell of a big moment because even though they played like crap, they had to face diversity. If I remember, the Chargers were
Right.
up in that game big
Four
time.
Another
first quarter-
quarterback.
Four
does
first
have
quarter
less-
interceptions he held game. Yeah.
Well, there's another quarterback who does have lesser stats than both Tua and Trevor, who also has proven that he has that ability to step up in the big moment, and he didn't get near as much as Trevor Lawrence. So how does Tua not fall in between those two?
And who is that color? Can you name that person?
Baker Mayfield.
Give me between them.
And there's one more. There's one more who's about to
Right.
get paid because he's with the same agency and
Jordan
supposedly
Love.
they have a deal that is about to happen right
Jordan
before
Love.
camp. Jordan Love. Jordan
But
Love.
yeah,
Oh,
and here's
man.
the thing.
Go ahead.
I have not changed my take on this whole thing since the very beginning. I've said Tua has zero leverage. If the Dolphins agree with me, then this is what we were going to see. If the Dolphins didn't agree with me, then Tua would have already been signed. And I'm going to stick to that take because guess what? It has yet to be proven wrong.
I understand. For me,
I think
it's-
any deal that gets signed now at this point, that would
Mhm.
mean Tua gave in to Greer's demand.
you're absolutely right.
That's what
and,
I'm thinking.
And listen, Greer, to me, this is proves I'm a Dolphin fan, right? To me, Greer represents this logo. He represents the company, the administration, the team, everything that has to do with the Miami Dolphins. If he says this is the best route, all I can do as a fan is support that and still root for my team. So if they decide to pay him the money he wants, then I have to support it. If they don't, then I'm rolling with it and I'm still a Dolphin fan no matter what happens tomorrow. That's the reality. So I'm still with it. I'm still with whatever Chris Greer decides because I'm going to tell you right now, in these big money contracts, since he's had full control, and I've said it over and over again, he's not going to make it where some player holds this team hostage, no matter what.
Push him over.
He's going to make sure that we have an out when we need it, and he's going to make sure you're not making it too crazy where we can't do anything in the future.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's definitely
Cap, are you on a call or something? What's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
I'm back. Any other thoughts before we move on to this roster?
Well, I don't want to dig too deep into it, but like, I would suggest everybody go and look at that Trevor Lawrence contract,
Mhm.
right? Because there's some language in there, and it's a 5-year extension, and what they essentially have done with the money, and I'm just going to give you the quick cliff notes. They have guaranteed, no matter what, $142 million, with $200 million guaranteed. Now that's a weird way to talk about it. Meaning, there's $200 million total guaranteed with the 5 years that he got. That's because they're paying him what the guaranteed money is in year 4. They picked up his 5th-year option, and then they put 5 years on top of that. He's under contract with that team till 2030. No, till 2030. Till 2030.
Yeah.
And
Right, 'cause
and
they got to finish
they,
up his
they got money
rookie
and
contract.
written into the language of the contract where they can carry dead cap and paying him for 2031. Now, obviously, they'll probably he can either wash out or they'll rework that deal in a few years. But all in all, the Jaguars, savvy, good move on their part. Now there is somewhere at the end of the
They
second
lowered
year,
their cost basis on a year-to-year basis.
and
They're going to 2031.
in the 2027 season, heading into the 2027 season, they're carrying like $69-70 million in dead cap. So that's going to be the year that they're going to have to rework it because that's how much is going to hit the cap, 70 million, because of how they spread this money out. But maybe not, right? Maybe not. Maybe they can. That's also a year they can get off the contract, eat it, and blow up and start over too. And and he's only gotten with the following year's dead cap the $142 million that they originally guaranteed, and they're saving themselves $48 or $58 million the following years, which is crazy.
Right. So they are taking a certain amount of risk, right? They're making a bet on Trevor Lawrence, right? So what the question is that the Dolphins are asking themselves is, if Tua was the Jags quarterback and the situation were reversed, would the Jags have made that deal?
Well, here's the thing, right?
You said, will the Jags make the deal if in year 3 of Tua or year 5 of Tua?
No, let's say if the Jags were our general manager crew, you know what I mean, and coaching staff,
Mm-hmm.
and they had what Tua gave us this year, you know what I mean?
So Roberto Valdez says, and shout out to him, the member and the Doney at this point. He says main issue with Tua deal is that is like the Ravens. They waited too long and don't have built-in years left to make it fake money. You're right. You're talking about we can get caught in a bad situation where the money is killing us, but better than it being a situation that the money's killing you because you got to pay up because of good success, rather than the money killing you.
Every money he's making is truly on the new deal. That's where Lamar's money is at.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, better to pay for what you know and deal with those prices than to pay for what you hope and deal with those costs. Deal with those costs.
I don't know, bro, because
different things.
Right.
Man,
right. That's the thing. That if you frame it that way.
If you're in an unknown right now and he's already contracted to play, why would you do anything else?
It's look, again,
we lose nothing if he doesn't come through.
Uncharted waters.
The discussion isn't that Tua, I don't think he hasn't earned a
right
contract,
because they're
right?
thinking color. You're forced to pay him $41 million on a guaranteed contract for 1 year for the franchise.
The thing is, right? It's not so much.
If he didn't prove himself, then then they wouldn't give him that extension.
But he's proven himself to be worthy of an extension, which is what the Dolphins have offered. But it's just not worthy what he thinks he's deserving of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
they're so basically they did offer him something. We know
absolutely. That's been
meaning that
they
gave a value based on what they think the market is. See, a lot of people not taking into account that the market is not one player. They always just bring up one person. The market encompasses all participants.
Yep.
It encompasses all participants.
Crypto.
When they say market, so they can't use that word if they say the market is the market and just only hone in on one guy.
Exactly.
No, he's not the market. Market encompasses all. When they talk about the S&P 500, the market is all 500 companies or whatever is put in that index.
It'd be like
gets factored in.
It'd be like me telling my boss that I found somebody that has my job in California and that I want to be paid as much as them, which is $100,000 increase in my yearly salary. He would say, go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, but right, because if I'm just going to go ask for, well, why can't I ask the Postmaster General for Jeff Bezos' money? I mean, I can do that, but he'll laugh at me at the building.
Fuck Michael K. Just want to say that. I don't mean to cuss on the show, but fuck Michael K. with his market is what the market is. I hate that fucking thing.
Hold on. Let me address that real quick. So I mentioned that all these shows like Jeff Darlington and all these different commentators are saying that, they're offering below market value. Well, what is the goddamn market value? Because
that's what I'm saying. They don't realize Greer has a number.
That's what I'm saying is like every contract that gets signed, it's a never ending. There's
goes into the data. Exactly, Ali.
Yeah, I can answer that question.
That's a data.
I can answer that question, and I believe it was Jeff Darlington also that said it.
Go ahead.
When he reported that, what was the earlier report a month or two ago? That the part that got cut off when he said that the Dolphins are really interested in getting a deal done, right? And the first part was cut off by all the two-in-ears, right? That said what they thought that they valued Tua at, like what their ceiling was, or what did they say? Their ultimate value was Jared Goff money. Remember? That's what we set the ceiling at. Remember, we talked about it.
Oh, Goff was the ceiling money because Goff was recently fresh.
Darlington reported himself that they said that their ultimate amount was Jared Goff money.
Yeah, recently.
And I even told the audience, what does the word ultimate mean? Was he being flippant? Maybe. But the word ultimate has a very specific meaning. That means your ceiling, your ultimate, your ultimatum. That's it.
Right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you call that market value, then they've already offered below that. If you want to consider the ceiling as the market value, however you want to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's what the market value. I'm saying whatever you can. If you consider the ceiling market value, then they offered below Jared Goff money.
Yep.
Right.
Definitely.
If you want to say the market value is anywhere from an average between Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, and Baker Mayfield, let's say, then they offered him below whatever that average is. Which is kind of like, I wouldn't even sign that if I was Tua. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely understand it. I understand that Tua I understand him and his camp want to make sure that they have the best possible deal. But at some point, you have to understand what the reality is. That here's the other thing we didn't really mention. There's not a lot of teams that need a quarterback right now. We just had one of the biggest quarterback drafts ever, right?
Right.
There's maybe two teams that might need a quarterback.
There's a lot of people that are early in their process. Right.
Yeah, the Raiders for sure need a quarterback. And then what I project, the Cardinals need a quarterback.
Right.
And personally,
what's his name hit lightning in the bottle.
I think they're going to go for a quarterback that's more of your traditional style.
One other thing, Ali, that I'll say about the reporting of this whole thing, okay, is that, from following a lot of politics, one of the things you need to train yourself to do is think of it like this: when a person you really don't care for, that you don't think has a lot of credibility, says something, the person that you do think has a lot of credibility says the same thing, generally they're nailing it. You know what I mean? And so you had a guy, for the reason I say that is because I know a lot of people's feelings about a guy like Big O. Okay. But Big O has already been stringing this harp. Okay. And now Jeff Darlington is strumming it.
Yep.
This is 3-week-old news if you're following Big O.
Yeah, this is true. This is definitely true. All right.
Shout out to Cap for life.
Definitely. And welcome to the show, KP. I appreciate you being here. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I had to come through, man. Like you guys, the news definitely, has me in a certain kind of way tonight.
I think it has you in a more positive way in your perspective, because you want Greer to hold his pad. If you have a number, hold to it. Don't go over. It's basically your philosophy, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, in some ways I feel vindicated because apparently I think it's become obvious that Tua's value it is not that of the franchise quarterback, despite what he thinks. And I think that's been one of the arguing points that I've been having with folks over the past month, that they're overvaluing him. He hasn't met certain thresholds to deserve a franchise style contract, and at least that is the debate. That's where the disagreement apparently is when it comes to his contract negotiation. But I would also say that I think the Dolphins have only themselves to blame at this current impasse because, on one hand, they've done everything they can to support Tua in terms of Taylor designing the offense. Doing what they need to do to put together a potent offense with him as quarterback, right? Which many will argue that's what every responsible team would do, right? But in many ways, they've created a monster here because with the success that Tua had over the last 2 seasons, statistically, right? Here is a guy who now believes his own stuff, who believes he is that good, right? And from his perspective, is unwilling to admit to the levels of tailoring that have happened here to get him to those levels of success. Now, why isn't he getting the contract that he thinks he deserves? Well, it's because of those markers that people like me have been bringing up over and over the last couple years, right? Winning those big games, being a decisive factor, being a reason why we win, and not the guy who doesn't show up when we lose. Several times I've come on these shows and I've talked about how even in the losses, right, if he put up a more respectable performance, right, he'd have a stronger case today. And I think that's where we're at. Now he may still end up getting a contract. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. I think, as everyone has agreed, where it lands, I really have no idea. But it's interesting that it's come to this point, and I do feel a bit vindicated by what's happened up to this point. So,
yeah, I completely understand that. Look, for me, it's this. I don't want any player, no matter what your name is, to hold my team hostage. So
right.
if my GM says this is the number and we can't cross it, then so be it. I'm going with it. I'm following whatever the team decides. If they decide to pay him, they decide, I'm still supporting the team. If they decide not to pay him and we move off, I'm still supporting the team, regardless. That's how I look at it.
I know Color has spoken about how this team is structured, right? And how in many ways it followed the San Francisco model where a quarterback can be almost interchangeable, right? To some degree, right? And I think that has been the approach that the Dolphins always had in mind, right? In terms of, putting quality talent at all the offensive positions, right? Having an offensive line that, is just good enough, right? But in doing so, again, I think they now face a conundrum of a quarterback who overvalues himself when they themselves as a franchise want this guy to slot into a particular range, right? And the fact that he won't agree to that range has now become a major problem in their approach coming up into the season. So
I don't want to get too deep into this because I'm on a limited time tonight. So I
Sure.
want to get the main stage, which is talking about the roster, right? Which is going to be a series of shows, and I'll explain that here in a few moments. But let me just ask this quick take, and then we can end it on that for now, and we can come back to this. Do you think that the longer Tua waits or his team waits to finally budge in and make a deal happen, that it could ultimately hurt him in the future to get paid? And this is why I'm saying this. Let's say he has a down year because of all this stuff that's on his mind about his contract, and the stats don't look very good, and he's not necessarily the player that he was the year before, right? Let's say that happens. Knock on wood, it doesn't, but let's say that happens. Will another team want to pay him all that money, knowing the fact that the reason that he's this good or was this good is because of all the players that were around him? You know what I mean? I don't know if teams are going to come jumping to give him the money he wants. That's why I'm saying it's very risky if the longer he waits, because they're going to be like, well, they didn't move off of him, and why should I? If they're not going to pay you that money, why should I?
Right. Well, the NFL teams are typically desperate enough to kick the tires on quarterbacks. And most of the time when they're drafted as high as Tua, they're given at least one additional chance in a different environment to, show what might have been missed, right? Drew Brees got that chance. Others got that next chance. And, very few are able to take advantage of that second opportunity. Most fail, but I think he'll get one more shot, at least to compete somewhere else, if that was to happen, right? But, he's going to have to grow in a lot of those areas that I think, since none of us really know, that the organization and Mike McDaniel spoke to him about and which was reported on at the end of this past season. They said, when you come back, we need to see improvement in these 3 or 4 areas, if I remember correct, or it might have been 4 to 5 areas, right? Tua has a chance, if he meets those markers, to become a better quarterback. And that will translate into us winning more of those games that matter, those games that are critical to us becoming a legitimate contender. And so if you add all of these things up, he might need to play on his 5th year and prove it. And then if he passes those tests, he should be amply rewarded. He should be amply rewarded with a franchise level contract. But I think that's where the signs are pointing at this point. They're pointing to him having to come in and prove it and show that he is the man.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I'm not so sure. I don't buy the idea that he wouldn't command just about what he would right now if he was that top guy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be marginally better. It'll be a little bit more, exactly.
But if the worst pans out, then we lose nothing.
Right.
Like if he had to walk, we lose nothing.
Well, it does set the whole
We'll
concept.
only just be one player away.
Yeah, that's true.
Finding a quarterback.
All right. So let's get to the main thing. But before I do, real quick, again, vamos gatos. Lord Stanley has come home to South Florida where he belongs. May he have a very long reign over South Florida.
That is the only time that this cup will be in
Yeah,
the city.
speaking of guys wearing their hat backwards, Michael K.
That is the only time the cup comes to this city. Enjoy it while it lasts.
You think so?
You will be stricken with 108 years of misery after this moment.
I don't know. We'll see. We will definitely see.
21-30.
We're the Cubs of hockey, bro. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep, color. So you guys ought to be looking forward to 21-32 because that's the next time they're winning.
Yeah, 21-32. I got a long time to live. I'm gonna live.
By the way, real quick update. I saw yesterday Cardinals are only 5 games back of the division lead, bro.
Yeah.
Brewers are on top.
Yeah, it's starting to getting closer and closer.
I believe, and let me just check real quick. I don't follow baseball as much as I used to when I was a kid. However, let me just check it real quick. Yep, my Guardians are still on top in the American League Central. I'll take it.
Yeah, we're about to start a series with the Braves.
Yeah,
well, it would be the first game would be over by now. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there's only 2 teams leading the American League, and that is the Yankees and the Guardians. Those are the 2 top teams. There's like 1 game apart between both. It looks like.
They're only 1 game now?
Yeah, they're up by 1 game. They have 52 wins. We have 51. However, we only have 26 losses, so I think they've played more games than we have. So
it's probably like a game or 2 difference.
So very interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
game got postponed.
Yeah, they probably have a couple games postponed.
I go figure, because there's a bunch of nastiness going through the Midwest right now, from like Arkansas all the way to Minnesota.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get.
By the way, be safe. You're in Iowa, Nebraska, Iowa especially. Be safe, because there's a bunch of blob there tonight. So
I gotcha. All right, Color. Let's get down to business because I don't have a lot of time. So we are going to review the first. This is the first series, or I'm sorry, first episode of the final countdown to the 53. So let me explain a few things before I actually do my PowerPoint presentation, right? Got to have a good PowerPoint if we're doing broken takes. So This series, we're going to start off with an introduction to the 53. We're going to start building our roster through the trenches first. As we go along, we're going to take information that we've gotten in the news with roster moves, anybody that we drop during the week. We're also going to be looking when training camp starts or anything we hear from any camps or anything. We are going to take that into effect each episode. We are going to add, subtract, and start to mold this roster. And actually, technically, Color in Crypto and KP, we are going to build this roster as if we're Chris Greer, right? In real time. As he's building the roster, we're going to be building the roster. And before the 53-man roster gets announced officially, the day it's supposed to be announced, we will have ours announced the day or a couple days before.
While
right?
you're doing that, I'm starting to build a mold for Chris Greer's statue.
All right.
I am collecting bronze. If anybody wants to send me all the bronze they can get.
Okay. All right. Give Color your bronze.
Yeah.
So, so let me bring up the PowerPoint presentation. And Color, please let me know. Let me first share it here. Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. All right, let me do this. All right, Color, just let me know. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Windows. There we go. Let me know if you can see it on the screen.
Yep.
All right. Very
PowerPointy as ever.
Yes. The final 53-man roster, the real 53 breakdown, not any of these Mickey Mouse or stencil rosters like El Cap was making. And look, I'm about to do the 53-man countdown, the first episode, and look what El Cap does. He's running already. Can't face the movement.
Wow, I knew you were going to say that.
Damn, look at this. Oh,
Yeah,
he's
this
saying
is
that
much better than Cap's little notepad with a pencil and all that. This is much better, man.
I'm just saying, I do my work. I do some research. I've watched some videos, and I've done some stat pulling and stuff. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is what I kind of think is gonna happen. Now, let's get into this. Actually,
The prognosticator.
Yes, let's actually get into this. Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. All right. So the breakdown. Let's actually go over the breakdown first. The 53-man roster, NFL roster, typically consists of the following positions and numbers. Why I'm bringing this out, I kind of want people to understand what the 53-man roster is made out of and what people typically, how many players of each position has. Now, our roster may not resemble the exact amount of numbers of each position that we see here. We may go higher in one position but lower in another, depending on how we value the position, right? So as we go through each episode, you're going to see us tinkering around, even with stuff that we talked about in the prior episodes, just so you're aware. So quarterbacks, generally they hold on to 2 to 3 players. Running backs are anywhere from 3 to 4. Wide receivers, 5 to 6. Tight ends, 3 to 4 players. Offensive linemen, anywhere between 8 and 9 players. Defensive linemen, between 6 and 7 players. Linebackers, 5 to 6 players. Corners, 5 to 6 players. Safeties, 4 to 5. Special teams, generally 3. You have 1 kicker, punter, and a long snapper. That's generally how it's built. The breakdown results in a total of 53 players. Teams also have a practice squad where they can keep up to 16 additional players who can practice with the team but cannot play in games unless activated to the active roster. Now, I have one what do you call that color? Where there's one thing that I just have to explain, like an explanation. This PowerPoint I technically started making last year during training camp, right? So some of the rules on the next page may not be officially up to date. What we're going to do, though, is if we notice one, I want someone to call it out so I can note it and I can get it updated for future episodes. Okay.
Right.
So let's go to the next page. Things to know. Active roster. Each team is allowed a maximum of 53 players, which I've already explained, on its active roster during the regular season. Practice squad, the teams can have up to 16 players, which I need to verify if that's still accurate, on their practice squad. These players are not eligible to play in games unless they are signed to the active roster. Injured reserve. This is the part where I think I need to update this a little bit more. Teams can place players on injured reserve, which allow them to free up a roster spot without releasing the injured player. Players on IR must sit out a minimum number of games before they can return, typically 3 games. But that's not necessarily accurate now. I believe there's new rules where you can have additional players on the injured reserve, and you can also bring them out off of injured reserve during the postseason as well. So that I have to look at what the exact rules are and update it a little bit more. Designated for return. Each team can designate up to 2 players per season to return from injured reserve. That is not necessarily correct, so I have to update that as well. I already knew that. That's why there's asterisks next to these. This rule, which allows a player placed on IR to return to practice after 6 weeks and play in a game after 8 weeks. I have to look into that. Waivers. When a team releases a player, they are placed on waivers. Other teams have limited time to claim a player. If multiple teams can claim the player, the team with the highest waiver priority, worst record, gets the player. If a player clears waivers, they become a free agent and can sign with any team. Active/inactive list. Before each game, teams must declare which players on the roster are active, eligible to play, and which are inactive, cannot participate in a game. Normally 46 can be active on game day, but the number can vary based on circumstances such as injuries or COVID-19 protocols. But that, I don't know about COVID-19 anymore because we're no longer in pandemic. So I'm assuming the NFL does have some rules in case something like that were to happen. But it would be circumstantial, to be honest. So I'll have to take a look into that as well. Any questions before I move on, Color, in regards to this?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure if there was anything I missed or something that you think I need to review to have it updated, please let me know. Most of these I have to go through.
When are you going to start having a class on how to make all that stuff?
What, a PowerPoint presentation?
All of that, yeah.
Oh, dude, we can do. Well, tonight I can't, but I can definitely do it. Definitely.
You should be selling that on Fiverr, man.
Definitely. So my philosophy is win the trenches, win the game. That's my philosophy with building this roster. I do think that the trenches are everything, and that is where it's crucial that you make the appropriate decision. So let's start off with the defensive tackles and edge. So today's episode, we're only going to be going and talking about defensive tackles and edge players and the offensive linemen for this episode. In the next episode, we will expand that to other positions, and we'll keep going until we've built the 53 just before the 53 is finalized, okay? Because like I said, this is going to be a series. So on my roster, I kind of agreed with the amount of defensive tackles and edge players that El Cap was talking about, but this is kind of where I'm at. Zach Seiler, Calais Campbell, obviously those are your 2 starters for defensive tackle. Then I think Neville Gallimore actually makes the roster along with Tier Tart. And then as an edge player, I think Shaq Barrett is that edge player. I've been watching a lot of videos on him. I personally think that he's that edge guy. He seems to be always in the backfield. He's the guy coming off the edge to stop the run. Yeah, he's the guy I think that's going to be more of an edge player. I know El Cap had Mo Kamara, but I think that's who they're going to list as an edge. What do you guys think so far?
So this is all tackles and 1 linebacker, or is Shaq going to be
he's considered that edge defensive line.
Right.
Defensive end, though, an edge with his hand in the dirt.
Yes.
He won't stand up as an offensive linebacker. Okay.
Correct.
Um,
This does not include linebackers. That's a different episode.
Gotcha. So this isn't going to factor in the injuries of the other two guys, right? Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm a little uneducated on Neville. You know what I mean? But I know you're not.
Nose tackle kind of guy. That he came from the Cowboys.
Dallas, yeah.
Right.
And he's more of a nose tackle, big guy. From the videos that I saw him, he's very effective in stopping the run in the middle gaps and stuff like that. That's the kind of guy
I'm also not sold on the idea that Pili was not expected to take another step. I don't necessarily think he's just a guy yet. You know what I mean? I think that he still has a chance to take the next step in his sophomore year and slide into one of those roles. Partly why I think they were so comfortable with jumping off of Wilkins. You know what I mean?
So here's the thing. This roster that I'm putting together, like I said, Color, it is up for debate. We can mold it and change it. Really, this is just presenting the foundation, and we're going to go each episode and we're going to make changes until we have our 53.
Yeah, I mean, I'm defaulting to you. I'm just, that's all I'm doing is saying, this is kind of like the other suggestion. And some would say, no, you got to wait and see on that. And these guys are more proven, or whoever's more proven. You know, and that may be.
Another thing
I'm looking for at camp is a guy like Pili to take another step. Go ahead, KP.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ali, one thing that might help us and the viewers as well is like on the left-hand side where you have the space, if you had like a column of players you've left out, players not making it, like a pool of players that are currently on the roster that, you know, you were leaving out of this 5 who you have making the team.
That's a good point. So I will take that in advisement. And in the next episode, I will make sure to include who's left out. But if you'd like, I can find that information and read out who I've left out. That's not on the plan.
Because you still got time to edit for the next shows, right? I got
you. So let me read out who I left out. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, and let me bring this up.
You can have like a picture of one of the dudes blowing the whistle, like, I'm on the bubble, I'm coming after you.
All right, here we go. So you wanted to know who I left out, right? So right off the get-go,
I know Jonathan Harris is one of them.
Yeah, Jonathan Harris. Deshaun Hand. Jonathan Harris was on my bubble. He actually I had to think really hard about. Deshaun Hand.
Right, he'd be the guy blowing the whistle, Ollie.
Benito Jones, Mario Kendricks, Isaiah Mack, Leonard Payne, who was the undrafted guy, Brandon Pili, and that's it for defensive tackles. Who do you guys think should be in it? Who did I leave out that you guys think?
Yeah, well, having not seen them play even in the preseason or visiting practices, it's hard to say because I think there's going to be an intense competition between Gallimore, Tart, Harris, Benito Jones, between those 4 guys to make 2 spots, right? And if you throw in Pili, that's 5 guys competing for those 2 spots. And I think it will come down to how they practice and how they, who's healthy and who projects best in a rotational role. I think Sealer, Campbell, and Barrett here are locks. I think those 3 guys are locks, but the Gallimore and Tart positions, I think, can be contested. Depending on those factors that I just pointed out. So.
Definitely. So this is an early.
In my case, I'm a guy that's like, if you call me a fan of one of them, then I'm going to go with the guy that the young guy that is only going into his 2nd year that has been wearing the uniform, and that's why I'm kind of. I'll be honest, I'm biasing Philly a little.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the kid. I want him to see him get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand where you guys are coming from. And in just so you know, this is just we're setting the foundation. Now, if we're Chris Greer and let's say the first week of practice, we hear that Neville Gallimore is shit, obviously we're going to be pulling him aside and putting in someone else in his name. Because basically what I'm trying to demonstrate here is kind of like, imagine we're the GM and we're looking at his whiteboard and the magnets with the names, and we're pulling them off and putting them in certain positions as we're building the team. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we're trying to do here, analyze. So for me, I think Shaq Barrett is a lock. Calais Campbell and Zach Seiler, that's a no-brainer. Those are locks, right? I definitely agree. It does come down between Neville Gallimore and Tier Tart. Jonathan Harris was a big question mark for me. I like the prospect of having him, but we do have limited positions. So he is my bubble guy, and who knows, maybe they do hold on to an additional guy in this position. You know what I mean?
And Leonard Payne and Isaiah Mack are the two football name guys for me. Then I'm going just on football name. You know what I mean? Great
Brandon
football
Pilley
name.
is the guy too, but here's the thing, though. Does Brandon Pilley scare you currently being on a practice squad?
Well, again, we really don't know because he's moving into his second season. I think that if we don't have Wilkins and had to see Pilley a lot more last year, we might be thinking something different. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, Ali,
that's one of those unknowns that we won't know till camp gets started, how he relates to these other guys we brought in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about your inclusion of Barrett here, and I know to start off the season, he probably will be in that role that you've outlined for him, hand in the ground on the weak side, right? Or perhaps on the strong side. But isn't that the Bradley Chubb? Wouldn't Bradley Chubb also slot in to this position? I know Jalen Phillips would be more of an OLB edge.
Yeah,
but I think Chubb is more of a hand in the ground type of guy. But we did see him stand up a little bit.
I understand what you're saying. However, when I was watching video, I saw Shaq Barrett with his hand in the ground every time.
Every time, okay.
When I'm watching, like when I pull up highlights, that's what you see all the time. I don't really see him standing up. Where I do see Chubb standing up in some of the highlights that we have for him. So that's why I was like, okay, we'll put him as the edge.
I've even seen them stand up Chubb and rotate him to the inside. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's just going to when we get to the linebackers, it's going to. I mean, right now we already know that there's going to be 4 guys between Chubb, Phillips, and Barrett and Chop Robinson. They're going to take 4 of the spots up right away.
Yeah.
So
that is going to be very interesting what we do as a roster, because we have so many names. You know what I mean? And it's hard to figure out, okay, what do I value more? Do I value the defensive line more? Do I value linebackers more? You know what I mean? Like, do I short out on corners? Like, it's really question marks on what you're going to do. Now, my philosophy of building my roster,
losing the talent of a guy like Wilkins,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? You just don't know if you're going to be able to replace that talent, so you have to like load up the room and hope one of them hits, or at least 2 of them. Because again, it's that same, I go back to that move that the Cardinals made when they finally traded Albert Pujols. It's like, if you're going to pay a guy $500 million, or are you going to get 5 guys that are almost as good as him? You know what I mean? That's kind of what we've done with Wilkins. Are you going to pay that guy $28 million, or are you going to bring in 5 guys, all of which could be almost as good as him, and rotate each other if you have to, or maybe one of them takes the next step to his level? Because I don't think Wilkins, if you're just talking about replacing Wilkins' production without any expectation of getting better, then I think any one of these guys is probably sufficient enough to replace that production.
So I just want to address this real quick. Jets gang, who says if y'all tag Tua, you pay all money. It's no cap tricks. There's still cap tricks we can do. I'm not worried about that. And even if we're paying them all that money, dude, we can, with the cap going up every year, right? And what we've been doing with renegotiating stuff, I'm not worried at all. We have ways of getting around it.
Look,
Go ahead.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I'm with, and I don't know if this is still TD's take or not, but I'm with TD when he said, "Look, there is no talk of franchise tag with me. There's no reason for it. If the guy does what we expect him to do and want him to do, you pay him, and you got your guy. If he doesn't, he walks. We lose nothing." There's no reason to unless you wanted to use him as the placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
Franchise tag is not. It should not even have to come into play if we're making him play on the 5th year.
Yeah.
Because if he is the guy, he's the guy. You pay him. If he's not,
Right,
then
not the guy.
what are you going to pay a franchise tag to see again? You know what I mean? It's pretty
No,
clear.
because they're thinking they're gonna get stuck with the same stats. That's
what I'm saying is, but that's the thing, Crypto. That's not even a question anymore. We know he can operate and produce a lot of stats with this high-level offense. We know that. That's not what we're waiting to find out. And that's the part people keep not wanting to admit to. They want to drag out,
it's gonna cost
big
us more
games don't mean
franchise
nothing
tag.
or whatever. You know?
Color Q saying that TD also said today it might not be a good thing if Tua is not paid.
Maybe he did. I'm just talking about something I heard him say a couple of weeks ago about the franchise tag not even coming into question.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the guy's the guy, if he does what we all are waiting on him to do, you know, and you pay him. If he doesn't, another year, what's another year gonna make him all of a sudden rise up in a big game?
Right. And that's been the lesson that I hope a lot of people have taken from all of this, is that stats alone are not enough to justify franchise status. If anything, at least those who, you know, have learned at least that much.
Or a long extended contract,
right?
Only based on the regular season,
right? Right, because what was your point, Crypto? For months, you made the point that the Denver game kind of warped the stats towards Tua's favor.
Yeah, it was 2 games. It's like we played an extra game than everybody else.
And with
we built in 2 extra numbers, 2 games worth of numbers, all squeezed into 1 game.
Right,
it was an anomaly.
So basically, effectively, the league played 17 games. We played 18 regular.
Right, and Denver was so bad that it was still, even before they pulled Tua out, it was still skewed.
Right.
Because I know they pulled Tua out early. That's the comeback to that. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. People want to disregard options like Tannehill, and I understand why. I was off of Tannehill in his 2nd year for the same reason. He's never going to win a Super Bowl. But that doesn't mean he couldn't give with this offense what this fan base wants and expects out of Tua. Because for all of his faults, Tannehill has won playoff games. So he can step up in the big moment. We all just know he'll fail. Right. It's one thing to fail. It's one thing to not even step up in the moment. And that's, I think, what KP was trying to say. When he says, look, even in a loss, we would have been able to see better.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he will be the bridge.
He'd have more, he'd have more leverage. Like, it wasn't me that lost the game when we put up 30 points. You know what I mean? So that's why I would get people want to Color, if you want to be fair, okay, if I'm fair, then I'll point to the Buffalo game that Tua played in where he did score close to 30.
Right.
Gold. But everybody wants to give excuses for these other games. It's like,
Well, that 30-point that he scored against the Buffalo Bills in that cold weather game wipes away his excuse for the Chiefs game.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, and to back up what KP was saying, if Tua had a performance like that against KC in the playoffs or whatever,
Yeah,
whatever the
even if we were
situation.
to lose
And we're going,
by the same
okay,
amount of margin. Yeah.
you know, I'd
Right.
be marching with Tua, like, yo, pay
Yeah,
him.
you feel a lot better about
Yeah,
paying
you know
Tua, right?
Hmm.
Because Tua, I mean, I hate to bring him up, but I mean, to a large degree, that's what Marino did. I mean, even in our big time losses, we knew he was a factor. You know, yeah.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. I don't
I
want to
would
get
argue Tennessee did that for. I mean, Tannehill did that for Tennessee.
Right.
For all of his
all
faults.
right. So
Yeah.
I don't want to get off subject because I want to stay. I got limited time. I got 15 minutes, and we got to go over a whole other group still, right? So let's stay focused on this a little bit. So I think in regards to the fifth guy, which I said would be Shaq Barrett, the guy in the dirt, because I've seen him play inside and everything, right? I think that name you could probably interchange it with some other names too, right? Like you mentioned Chubb. You could interchange it with, El Cap says it's going to be Mo Kamara. You know what I mean? You could interchange that name, right? But I think the number is really the question here. Do you think this is a good number of defensive tackles that we're going to carry into the season? D tackles / edge, just to be clear.
I think because of the uncertainty, we might go at least one player more. We might go 6. Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm writing on a notepad in regards to what we say during this series. And what we'll do is as we get into camp, we will we'll come back to it and then readjust it as we see fit. Right.
Right. So in other words, this group is one of those ones. It's like you said earlier from the earlier slide that are like 5 or 6, right? Depending on who we want, what other group we might want to take from. Right. Okay.
Correct. And just so you know, those numbers of players that we have there, that was being suggested in making the 53-man roster, those are just typical numbers. What teams mostly do. Do they all do the same thing? No, they may short out on somewhere. Right. If you guys remember, everyone thought we were crazy when we held on to 3 quarterbacks, but we did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's something, each episode we're going to mold this even more. We'll even update what we did in the previous episode and whatnot and what changes that there. And, we'll keep it moving. But this is kind of the amount of defensive tackles I think we're going to make. You already know who the names are that we're going to keep here. Zach Seiler, Calais Campbell, no brainer. Shaq Barrett, no brainer. The only 2 questions are Neville Gilmore, Tier Tart, and is there going to be one more, yes or no? That's really what the question is here. Right? So if there is another name, I do suspect it to be Jonathan Harris. At that point, he's my guy in, to be honest. Any final thoughts on the defensive tackles / edge?
I could agree with that, other than changing out one of the other guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking Benito Jones, who had a respectable season, a couple seasons with the Lions. I don't know if he's coming down here to get cut. I think he's probably a seasoned vet. Health-wise, he makes this team just on pedigree and experience in the league.
About him, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name to think about. All right, I'm going to notate him as well.
And last thought, Ali, if we do extend like the D tackles edge position to 6, 7 players even, that puts pressure on other areas. Like, those DBs are going to have to be, be multi-talented in a sense where it increases the chances of a Elijah Campbell / what's our other guy? The guy who came back from injury, who was a slot corner, and Lampu, and also was at safety. What's his name? Name escapes me now. He was a slot corner. He got a knee injury and he made it back last season. He was a Flores guy.
Brandon Jones?
No, not Jones.
Nick Needham.
Needham, yeah. So it increased chance of a Needham and a Campbell making the roster because they have those multiple skills. They can go between safety and cornerback, So,
and we all know, you're right.
So, we'll see when we get to those other positions.
Hold on real quick. Didn't the Florida baseball team win a championship the last time we had a guy named Benito playing in Miami?
Benito Santiago.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a hell of a catcher, man.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I added to the notes Benito Jones or Jonathan Harris, and maybe adding one more D tackle slot to that position group. That's the notes that I have. Now, let me go ahead and add crypto back here.
Sorry, musical ads.
It's okay. So let's go on to the next slide. The next slide is, as we're building into the trenches, offensive linemen. Now, I put who my starters are based on what we have on paper now without seeing what's happening at camp. This could definitely change when camp gets started. We see what the reports are. Me going to camp, I know Color is going to be going and checking things out. We're going to have boots on the ground, as they say, and we'll be molding this as based on what we see their production is. Now, obviously, and these are the no-brainers: Armstead, your starting left tackle; Wynn, your left guard. I have Brewer currently set up as the center, as everyone expected him to be. Then you have Eichenberg as your right guard, which everyone expects him to be competing for, and then obviously Jackson as your right tackle. Now, let me explain why I have the names next to it as depth. Because I did think this through, right? Because I am expecting us to maybe probably have injuries throughout the season, right? Let's say Armstead goes down at left tackle. You can immediately put Lamb in at left tackle, right? Let's say Austin Jackson goes down. You could either put Lamb or you could also put in Patrick Paul at right tackle. Right? That's an option. Then you're thinking, okay, well, what happens if Brewer goes down? Well, Brewer goes down, you can swing Eichenberg over to center and then bring in Robert Jones as your right guard, right? He can also cover the left guard too, but also I brought in Matthew Jones, that's who this is here, our undrafted right guard, because if you watch the tape, the guy is big, strong, is very, very mobile. That's something I liked about him. He moves side to side very, very well. I think it's a matter of placing his hands and his stance. And once they fix those things during coaching, I think he could definitely be a guy that even competes with Eichenberg, to be honest. These are my opinions. So this is what I got so far. I did leave this open to maybe adding one other name, but I went with the aspect that we're holding on to about 9 guys in the offensive linemen. Any thoughts?
None.
Damn.
Yeah, at this stage, I can't call it. I don't know. I was a fan of Connor Williams.
Mm-hmm.
If he is a free agent, predicted to come back and play quality minutes, I'd hope we can slot him back into this team. And that's because of low confidence that I have with Brewer. I'm not a Brewer fan. I'm worried about him being our everyday all-time center. I know he's got some pluses with the run blocking, right? But I think that pass blocking is really scary. I don't know. I got flashbacks of the Jesse Davis years, and the guys coming in down the middle, pressure in the middle, destroying our offenses.
Wow.
So,
so here is something I'll tell you a little bit more in regards to some news that came out. His agent, which I think is Drew Rosenhaus, is reporting that it is more likely that Connor Williams is going to be signing with a team, but he's focusing primarily with not the Dolphins right now. And the reason for that is he doesn't want to have to play guard. He wants to play center. He wants to be the starting center and get starting center money, is basically being told. The team that's most likely to sign him, from what I'm hearing right now, who has shown the most interest, is the Bears, is what what I've read and whatnot. Now,
Deliciously boring.
Yeah, the Bears are boring, to be honest. But to be honest, though, that doesn't mean he can't change his mind. he could definitely, revert back and say, I do want to win a Super Bowl, or I do want to compete with a team that's going to win. The Dolphins want me back. Okay, I'll play guard. It's very possible that he could do that. Is he strong enough or healthy enough to play guard? That's the question. Is he healthy enough or strong enough to play the center? Because of the injury. I don't know if you remember, KP, he had an injury that some were saying was career threatening. So that's something to think about as well.
The other thing, Ali, I guess that I needed to amend to my thoughts on offensive line is I'm not so sure. We got to pay attention to our guys at camp and all those battles, but I'm not so sure we shouldn't also be paying attention to the battle going on in Baltimore, because the Ravens are expecting the guys that they brought in, rookie and another UDFA, to take the spot of their trusted starting center. You know what I mean? So his name is Ben Cleveland, and there's been some kind of early rumors and probably people putting out fake news or whatever that the Dolphins would be a target destination for if he were to become available. So there's also that, and that just depends on what happens at Ravens camp.
I understand.
So it's a good idea to pay attention to some of these other camp battles and other teams that we might be looking at. And the other thing I want to ask is, what the heck is that supposed to be in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide?
I believe they're supposed to be football gloves. I'm sorry. Trying to image it right. It just didn't look correct. So, yeah. So.
I mean, I'm not going to, for our non-listeners, non-viewers, the ones that are just listening, I don't know if I should describe it or not, but
all right, color. Anyway,
maybe one goat mounting another.
Jeez, KP.
Again, it was supposed to be football gloves. I think what it was, the original image had a football player with his hand in the dirt, and I was trying to cut it out. So
that makes sense. My first thought was like the bags that they run into at practice.
Yeah, no, this is I started making this like last year, bro. So it wasn't a finished template. I was really just trying to put something together so we can have something to look at while we're talking this through, rather than putting it on a notepad. So, anyways, let's go back to what we were talking about. I definitely agree. Checking out the other teams' camps, doing some research there. That's something that's on my notepad here to do. For me, I'm really just laying the foundation with what we have on paper now. Okay. And then as I do further research this week, and I actually see what's going on in camps, see what the news is and stuff, in the next episode, I will give out those updates, and we will make changes to the other position groups accordingly, based on what's going on in the market and everything. So thank you, Color, because that is something I do plan on doing, and we can discuss and elaborate further in the next episode. But what do you think about the names that we have on paper right now in regards to the depth pieces? Does it make sense? Because technically, Eichenberg can be the backup center. You could also put Matthew Jones or Robert Jones in the right guard position. Another thing that's interesting is Matthew Jones does have snaps at center and can play center. So that being said, he could be somebody if Eichenberg goes down or Brewer goes down and you have no other choices, you do have someone else that has played center before. And here's something I was trying to tell KP before I almost forget. I understand your concerns with Brewer, but we had those same concerns with Eichenberg, and Butch Berry coached him enough to make him manageable, and he did a pretty decent job, in my opinion, after that first game that he got thrown to the fire. I think he got better and better. I'm going to put my trust in Butch Berry, that hopefully he can coach up Brewer to make him a decent center. The other thing is, let's not forget, Connor Williams was, a lot of people said that we wasted our money on him because of all the flags and penalties he used to throw and whatnot. I think sometimes it's just a matter of coaching and figuring out what position is right for the player. So some of these players may perform surprisingly better, but it is still subject to be seen. I understand.
No. Granted, I accept that, and that's certainly possible. Given that when we sign a player, it's typically with a plan in mind. The team has a vision and a plan for the player, right? And that may be the case with Brewer, and maybe the way we use this center will be unique to this team. And he was targeted for that reason. I mean, you correctly point out, Connor Williams, he made his transition to center with us. Before us, he was a guard when he, had a Pro Bowl season, but also, racked up that reputation of, being a penalty guy, right? So that's because we signed him with a particular vision in mind for him to make that transition to center at the time. So I'm anxious to see what the plan is for Brewer, because again, my worry about him, and it's just worry. He may be an All-Pro, maybe an All-Pro, but it's the physical limitation, the lack of size at that position that worries me. In a tough AFC where you're going against, when you look at the Jets' interior D linemen, Titans, there's some big guys, big powerful guys in the middle who like throwing around little lightweight linemen, and I think Brewer got a big taste of that from time to time when he attempts to pass block. So we'll see.
Definitely, we'll see what happens. I am gonna look at the guy that Color recommended. Do some research on that, and then I'll present some information I have on him to see if that's a move that we want to make here in improving this roster if we need to. But another thing is, from my understanding, Brewer is, and I kind of want to ruffle Crypto's feathers for a moment here, because Crypto says that this will always be a passing league, and it's, he always has the term 70-30, and that's what it is, right? Well, they brought in Brewer in the fact that he actually was very, very productive in the run game, and you could see him pull very, very well. And I know they want to get the run game going in between the lines rather than bouncing it to the outside all the time. Could this be a change where we're not necessarily throwing all the time? It's more of a more balanced 50-50 Crypto. What do you think?
Lose Crypto?
Crypto, you might be on mute.
Crypto fall asleep?
He either fell asleep or he's in the shower. Crypto. He left. He was probably in the shower.
Real quickly, Ollie, for a starting point on that Ben Cleveland thing, it was picked up by Ravens Country, which is on SI.com, which would basically be the equivalent to our Allen poop art.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Crypto. Yep. Go ahead. Give me your thoughts.
No, it would never be a 50-50 league when it comes to this team. I'm always convinced, as long as we design it from the outside in.
About our team is what I'm talking about. That's what
this team too, because Tyreek and now Waddle with that big contract is not here to be a cigar store mannequin.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, when I was looking at tape of Brewer and stuff, it seemed like he was able to, help build these holes, in between the lines. And when I was watching Jalen Wright's videos, he did run in between the lines quite a few times. So I think that's kind of somewhere they kind of want to focus on, and I think he helps with that. Where we have not been able to run in between the lines as well as we could. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why I was asking, are we going to be running more? Do you think, even if it's, slightly more than last year, do you think possible?
No, it means we could just, when we giving our 40% allotment, does this mean we'll be more efficient when given that chance?
Okay, so you're saying it's going to be a 60-40 is what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think the ratio always be right around that ballpark.
Okay, 60-40. You heard it from Crypto today. It is 60-40.
And we was right on the nose, pretty much that to the T. and we still was able to run for the most rushing touchdowns that we had. It's about how many
Yeah.
times you score while running, not necessarily running in between the 20s.
Yeah, definitely. This
It was
I
also
definitely agree.
there anyway.
Yeah, the results are definitely there. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, Ali, really quickly, just to finish
Mhm.
that, so it was Ravens Country on or Ravens Nation or whatever they call it on SI. So that'd be their version of Alley and Poop Heart, basically, as far as level of credibility goes. And now the report that they picked up on was from a smaller Dolphin news site, like sort of fan site. And I don't know about their credibility, but the fact that the guy from the Ravens picked it up from his perspective is like he put in his 2 cents as to what's going on in the camp battles with their center. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So he thought there was
Hmm.
almost lending credence to their idea. You know what I mean? From his perspective as a Ravens beat writer.
Yeah, definitely.
I
His
think
name
they
was
lost
Ben
their
Cleveland
coordinator
is the
too,
player's
man.
name, right?
Didn't the offensive coordinator
yeah.
go somewhere else?
Color.
Yes, Ben Cleveland.
Ben
Yep.
Cleveland.
What
Okay.
was that,
All right.
Crypto?
No, I thought they lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator again this year, didn't they?
Not
I
sure.
know one of them's the Seattle's coach, and I thought they lost the offensive guy too.
Didn't he
Well,
go
maybe I
to
was thinking Tampa
the
Bay.
Chargers? I think he went to the
Yeah.
Chargers.
Right.
Yeah.
So
all
back-to-back
right.
seasons, they lost coordinators.
All right, Color. So
What I meant was it could have just been a Dolphin fan news site pipe dreaming, but the guy from the Ravens thought there was something to it because he's thinking this like, well, yeah, we may move off that guy, and it's like these guys over here at the Dolphins are reminding us all we need a center. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how an
Yeah.
idea gets laundered, but like the correct way, like this guy's saying, hey, yeah, I'm a Ravens beat writer, and that would make sense, is what he's saying. He's not saying that's what's actually going on or we're looking at that or anything, but
Mhm.
he's simply saying a pretty good center could become available on the market after camp cuts.
Mhm. We'll know before preseason starts. No, well, the Hall of Fame game is what, the 6th of August? When is the first game? The preseason game. We'll know by then. By the Hall of Fame game.
Give me a second. I'll tell you one
I think
second.
the Packers played the Browns or something like that in the Hall of Fame game.
Well, our first game is Friday, August 9th against the Atlanta
So it's-
Falcons.
So it's Thursday, the previous Thursday.
Mhm.
That Thursday, yeah. The
Yep.
6th. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the foundation to my offensive line. I think I'm going to do some homework with the
We
suggestion.
got an Eichenberg,
Yeah.
Ali. We have an Eichenberg, so we're in
Definitely.
good hands.
Definitely. We're definitely in good hands. But so the thoughts so far are that for the offensive line, we might be looking at bringing in another center, possibly. I do kind of still have question marks at the right guard position. We're going to wait and see what happens at camp. But that will be a position that I'm looking to Dolphins to maybe move and bring in somebody else. A name that I left off here, which might surprise people, is Jack Driscoll. I don't know. We'll have to see. He was kind of on my bubble. I kind of went back and forth, but I really like the kid out of Ohio State, Matthew Jones. He plays both center and guard, right guard specifically, which is a position of need. So I kept him. Robert Jones is really good. And then you have Kendall Lamb and Patrick Paul, which are, they're going to be on the team no matter what. So the next episode, we're going to expand it to more positions. I'm probably going to do running back and linebackers. That's probably the next two positions I'll be doing. And we'll also do updates on the roster. Any roster moves, we'll swap some people out. I'll give you my thoughts on Ben Cleveland possibilities, or even other players that we could very well look in bringing in if needed, depending on what happens at camp. But this is going to be a multi-series episode where we break down the roster essentially we're going to build the roster along with Chris Greer and present ours just before his is due to be released. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next several weeks. Final thoughts, Color, you go first.
Not many, man. Other, just good job, bro. Appreciate it. That's some really good work you put together there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more detail on the rules, a little bit more. That's the stuff that I had from last year, and I was trying to piece it together today.
And you made just enough errors for us to have fun and poke fun at it for a minute.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's always
definitely.
fun. You know what I mean? And other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how this roster finishes out.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. KP, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, just reiterate what my colleagues here have stated, and then but keep your eyes out for training camp and those unknown free agents and rookies. One or two always tend to break through. At what position we don't know. Jack Driscoll, I'm glad you brought it back up. Him and Eichenberg do give you that double position ability to cover the center position. So I think that might strengthen the case for Driscoll to be in that 9 or 10. But yeah, we'll see.
Definitely. Crypto, any final thoughts? You're on mute, Crypto.
I'm on mute. Hey, no, I'm just looking forward to everything coming up. We got like 3 weeks left before this training camp get kicked off, so it'll be interesting to see what.
I'm not gonna lie, this
do
month went.
go down there.
Yeah, thanks.
3 more weeks away.
Definitely. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Crypto. I shouldn't have done that, but I'm not gonna lie.
No,
This
it's
month
good.
has gone by so fast, bro. I can't
It
believe
did, yeah. We already in July.
camp's like a month
pretty
away,
much.
bro. I can't believe it. It's like holy shit. So
now remember, traditionally
Yeah,
here
man,
at
yeah.
the gate, like our slow, what we've seen is the lowest amount of interest in the Dolphins. That valley bottoms out at about the end of July, like, you know what I mean. And this year camp starts at open to the public at July 28th. So you're gonna start to see a lot. That's when it's at very bottom, and then starts to rent, and it goes from very bottom to like shooting out the ceiling. Usually, you know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. Speaking of which, Color, real quick, have they released the tickets for training camp yet?
Not that I've seen. I haven't really checked my email or nothing,
Okay.
but
I've been
That doesn't come a part of the package when you buy season tickets, or no?
Well, what it is, I think we just get early notification, and it unlocks for us earlier to get them.
Yeah, and they have certain
then they
days
put
in the
that
rest of
only
the
members
public.
can go. They have certain days that only members can go to.
Right,
so.
and then that
Rest of
too,
them,
but
okay.
then they also have once the people get a chance to claim some, then they put it on the website at a certain date for the whole general public to claim however many they want to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's first come first serve, and that's until they're exhausted.
Yeah.
But that being
Yeah,
said,
over
most
there.
people will claim their maximum, and so you'll always have people like that, man, or other generous people in the community that'll have they can get you a ticket if you got a ticket. I'll probably even have some to give away if I more than I need.
Definitely. All right.
That's true.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it was a pleasure.
Well,
Thank you for hanging out with me. And
I'll say this real
go
quick
ahead.
before we leave. I know it's about 2 minutes before midnight, and in about roughly less than a minute from now, I will be 49.
Happy birthday, Crypto! Holy shit!
Happy birthday, bro!
Oh,
Wow, 49.
Crypto.
You're right. You're about just as much older than me as my sister is, man. She was born in August, and so you were born in 79. I mean, I'm sorry, 75.
5, yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Wow. Happy birthday!
And it's crazy because my sister's birthday is tomorrow.
Wow,
We're almost exactly 3 years apart.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah, her birthday's tomorrow. We're almost exactly 3 years apart from the day.
Oh, Crypto, I'm sorry to do
I
this.
was 7 hours away from being exactly 3 years, apart from her.
Mm-hmm.
And Crypto just
7
caught up to
hours.
my age, man. Happy birthday, Crypto, man. Live it up this week, bro. Welcome to age 49, man.
So, Crypto,
Yeah, man.
I have to warn you, though.
Got our cards, man.
Crypto, because you divulged this information, we have a tradition around here. And this tradition has gone back for a while. And since it is your birthday and it's officially midnight, on 3, gentlemen. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday, Crypto.
Happy birthday.
Or he's a jolly good fellow.
He's a jolly.
Happy birthday to
you. All right.
Yep, and many more.
Then many more.
I love it. I love it.
How come I'm always the only one that finishes it?
All right.
I got it. It's great.
I gotta go. It was a pleasure. Fins up, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode. Remember, it'll be running backs and linebackers. Next episode, we'll be releasing it. And until then, y'all have a great night. Fins up.